Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Futurama Season 3, Episode 10 of my show, which is also going to be about Episode 10. Now, Episode 10 in Season 3 is known as Luck of the Fryish, but before I start talking about it, since we're on Episode 10, that means we got 5 more videos left to cover, because after this one, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14... 15, yeah. So after this video, we got 5 more videos left to cover, guys. So we're about almost done. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Anyway, now getting into the actual storyline of the episode. Basically what happens is, it basically starts off in the past, like before the moment where, long before the moment where Fry got frozen in the cryogenic tube when he made that pizza delivery, because it starts out from when he was born. And basically, this is the funniest part of the episode. Fry's mom, while she was giving birth to him, was listening to a sports event on the radio and stuff, and then his father is telling her basically, she's basically watching a baseball game, and then when Fry is born in the episode, now the reason why I brought the whole baseball thing up is because that leads into the, a little bit of a stupid and a mix of both stupid and, funny aspect, because basically, after the baby's born, and the doctor gives it to her, she doesn't say that it's the happiest moment of her life, because she already said it, because she was listening to the game on the radio, and then basically, before the doctor gives him the baby, he notices what nice red hair he's got, but then Fry's father takes sort of offense to that. He's like, "You saying my boys are coming?" And in that case, what he means is, Russian, which is, I guess, kind of a stereotype for redheads. I mean, I don't know. It's awkward. It's an awkward segment in the show. Anyway, basically, this also leads into, what happens with his other boy that's in the episode. Now, that other boy that I mentioned is technically his Fry's older brother, Yancey. Now, I'm gonna explain more about him, when it gets to... Actually, before I continue, I should explain, what his, life is like with Fry before Fry gets frozen, because it's ironic, because it leads into what's going to happen in the past, in the later segments of the episodes. Basically, according to everything Fry knew from his past about his brother, he thought his brother hated him a lot because they always fought and stuff, and then basically, and Fry always got mad at Yancey for basically stealing his techniques and stuff. Like, I can provide 2 examples of that, both in basketball and when they were doing that break dancing practice for this contest that this group was going to be participating in, that were hoping to win. And then basically, the prize that they were hoping to win in that was basically a signed autograph of mixed, actually, DJ Parachute Pants. Oh my god. Anyway, I just wanted to get that, those are some details. But I'm just gonna mention this. The irony of it is, Yancey, as it's discovered by Fry later on in the episode, he learns that his brother actually does love him. But I'll explain what that part of it is when I get to it. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Basically, Fry's mom and dad are trying to figure out a name for him, and then his mom tells him to pick because she picked dinner last night, and he decides to name him Philip. Now, the reason why he names him Philip is basically he names him. Philip is also the brand name of a type of screwdriver, so he basically names his son after a screwdriver brand because there's these tools, and one of those tools is a screwdriver known as Phillips. Oh my god! So that's a little ironic, and then basically, Fry's father takes Philip to where Yancey is to introduce Yancey to his brother, and then basically Yancey starts getting a little upset, like he's saying that he wants to be named Philip, but then his father explains to him that his name is Yancey like him, and his father, and so on, all the way back to, apparently the name Yancey Fry goes all the way back to what the military called one of those things, Minuteman, busted Russians in the American Revolution, basically to defend America and stuff. I'm not gonna say the C word anymore because I don't want to offend anyone. Anyway, basically, Fry's father mentions to him that until he can find something, a suitable thing for him to play with, he'll have to make do with Archie's toy shuttle. And then basically, while the baby version of Fry is watching the shuttle fly around, Yancey swipes it and he's like, mine, and then he basically tosses it out the window, and then what happens is after that it goes into the present scene in the year 3000, and then basically what happens is after that it goes to the scene where Bender, Fry, where Fry and the rest of Planet Express are at the horse racing track. Oh my god. And Bender is there as well. Now, the reason why I bring Bender up in this portion of the episode is because of the fact of Bender will basically cheat to win a bet, to win some cash by making one race. But in turn, in doing that, he'll also screw over Fry. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Anyway, basically what happens is they're watching the horse races, and then while they're watching the horse races, Hermes is like, baby needs a new pair of shoes, which is, in this case, it's a figure of speech, but Zoidberg kind of takes it literally when he says that, because he's like, to hell with your stupid baby. I need those shoes. No, baby needs a new pair of shoes thing. That's a figure of speech, but as I said, Zoidberg took it literally, which I find is kind of funny. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I just find that really funny. It's funny because of the irony of it. And then basically, they go to order some horse-based takeout from a stand that's at the horse races, and then basically, when Hermes goes to place his horse food order, he says that he'll have a horse Coke, and the vendor's like, horse Pepsi, okay? And that also leads into the funny kind of joke that he says, because he's like, neigh, which is a horse thing, because, horses neigh, but in this case, it's a funny way of saying the word no, because neigh can also be translated to the word no, because N-A-Y is how you say nay sometimes and stuff. Well, there are many ways to spell different words. Anyway, basically, as I stated, Bender basically rigs the next horse race in order to win some cash, which in turn then screws over Fry. Now, how he rigs that race is he basically injects all of the horses with... oh my god! He injects all of the horses with some steroids that cause them not to move, and it causes his horse to win the race. And they actually, that also, before I continue with that, I just want to mention, they actually do this thing where they have the Centaur Race, which is, if you know from Greek mythology, centaurs are creatures that are half human, half horse. So basically for the race, what happens is, the human half of the centaurs have to whack their horse half in order to get them to move, because they're not actual horses, they're half horse, half human creatures, so in a sense they have to whip themselves. And basically, in this episode, we also find out that Amy's family also owns 4 horses and 2 jockeys. And then basically, when it goes in, Bender manages to win the race that he rigged, which, as I mentioned, he also screws over Fry in the process. And then basically after that, what happens is, basically what happens after that is Fry goes to try to, he says that he only has $1 left and he's gonna hang on to it. From this moment forward, it's like luck is gonna change, and then basically, but the dollar blows away on the wind, which then causes Fry to basically, oh my god, which then causes Fry to basically, go after it, and he gets, when he goes after it, because he lands on a telephone wire, and he basically climbs up the telephone pole to get the dollar, and he's like, if you don't know me, if you think some telephone wire is gonna stop me, then you don't know. My name is Philip J. And before he said the word Fry, he gets electrocuted because of the electrical wires, which causes his hair to frizz out. And then, in the next scene, basically, in the past, him and Yancey are basically playing basketball, and then after Fry uses the young version of Fry uses his face hook, Yancey basically copies that move, and then basically Fry gets upset with him for stealing, because he thinks he stole it. And then basically what happens is the ball goes out of bounds, and then basically that's what leads into Fry finding his lucky 7-leaf clover, which is the clover that is the main focus of this episode. And then he goes to play Yancey again in a game of basketball with the lucky 7-leaf clover, and he manages to make the shot, and he taunts Yancey by saying that his fans are thunder with no salvation. Yancey basically calls him lucky, and then Fry realizes that he probably is getting lucky because of the 7-leaf clover. And then basically what happens is it goes back into the present scene, and then basically it goes back into the present scene, and then basically what happens is after that Leela realizes that Bender's kind of happy, like he's whistling, like he's happy. She mentions that he's in a good mode, and he says that he lucked out at, well, he's like, let's just say I lucked out at the track. Also, I rigged one race, which is funny because the race that he rigged was the same one Fry was betting on, because of the horse that he bet on was number 6, but because of Bender's interference, His horse wasn't able to win the race because he raced it. Oh my god. And this is the part I never actually understood with this episode in particular, why Fry wasn't mad with Bender for rigging that race, because in turn, him doing that just increased Fry's bad luck. And then basically Fry's waiting for this new hair to arrive because his old hair basically got blown off because he fried off because of the electrical stuff, so he basically had to go to this wig robot and wait for his hair order to come in, and then basically after that what happens is what happens is after that, once his new hair is around, his new hair is delivered by the robot, he mentions about how he used to have this lucky 7-leaf clover, which he hid in order to keep his older brother Yancey from stealing it. And then they wonder if the clover is still there, and he said that maybe it is like helping one ant defeat another ant and so on and so forth in aspects. And then so they basically go down to the ruins of old New York to find it, and then that leads into the segment in the scene in the past where this leads into the segment in the episode that flashes back to the past again, where they're doing this breakdancing competition that I mentioned before, and basically mentioned the leader of the group tells them that if they want to win a contest on Saturday in order to get their grand prize, which is Master DJ's autographed parachute pants, their group's got to pop, lock, and be the freshest, and then basically, and style the freshest, and then basically they hold auditions, and then Fry shows up to do his routine, which is basically and he calls himself Cosmic, and he says his style is the deep space, and then he uses his moves, which are the moonwalk, the robot, and the zero G, and then basically Yancey tries to think about his style, and then he said his style is the same as Fry's, and then Fry's gets upset about that, and he's like, and then he uses the same moves Fry uses. After that, Fry gets upset with him again, and he's like, "What are you doing? You totally ripped off my routine." And then basically, what happens is Yancey thinks he's calling him like a biter, and then like he's stealing his stuff, and then Fry gets upset and he asks Yancey why does he always have to steal everything from him, and find his own life and live it, and then Fry mentions that he'd like to see him try to steal this, which is a move known as the, and I quote, subtuple head spin. But then the rest of the group gets shocked by that, and then Yancey tells them that Fry's just joshing because no one's ever been able to do a head spin like that except for a quadruple, and then basically, Fry has the member of the young rap group that they call noticeably a teacher basically rewind the tape, and then basically Fry does the stuff that has been using the clover on his head as well, and then they all get shocked by that, and then after that they're all congratulating him about that, and it's ice cold good, and then the leader of the of the young rap group that's entering the contest with them tells them that, Fry, if I ever see you do something crazy like that again, this crew might just have a new pair of parachute pads. So basically he starts off saying it like he's angry, but then leads into saying it like he's happy about it. So, which, technically speaking, when I first watched this episode when it was on TV, and again when I watched it on Disney Plus, I actually got thrown for a loop because I thought he was gonna stay mad at him for doing that, but it turned out he was actually happy about that. And then he brings out Fry brings out the clover, and then Yancy starts to get mad at him and is like, stop honking the clover! And then they start running towards his house, and then it goes into the present scene. And then basically what happens is, they're touring, the ruins of old New York in order to find Fry's house, and they come across this mutant who was mutated from one of Fry's old neighbors. One of Fry's old neighbors, which is Randy Goldman, and then when Fry wonders about who says who he was, and then basically the mutant said that he mutated from him, and then he's astounded by that, and he asks the mutant what Randy's up to these days, and Randy basically tells him in the mutant form, he says, the short answer is, I'm teaching. And then Leela said that he seemed nice, and then basically Fry's like, sure, when he was sober, and then basically they managed to finally find Fry's old house. Now, the reason why I say they finally managed to find it is because when they were starting to look for it, what happened was they were trying to find out the actual direction, because as Leela stated, the sign says 51st Street, and then and he said that downtown could be in any direction because his house is downtown. And then when they get to the house, he said that it looks fine, just the same as it always was. And then basically, when Bender sees it himself, he's like, man, Father Time really took a hammer to this place. And then it goes back into the past scene where Yancey's still chasing Fry. And then Yancey's like, that stupid Clover is a worthless piece of garbage. Give it, give it, give it. And then Fry and Yancey managed to get into the house, and then Philip Fry mentions to his mom that Yancey's trying to steal his Clover, and then basically he's trying to steal his Clover, and then basically his mom says that stealing is wrong. And then basically what happens is after that, Fry manages to get into the bomb shelter, the basement part of his house, which his dad converted into a bomb shelter, just in case they ever came under nuclear attack. And then basically, Fry's father is wondering if Kremlin Joe left out with the nukes, but then Fry says that, not yet, Commander. Yancey's just trying to steal my stuff as usual. And then basically what happens is Fry's father is mentioning that, well, he better not steal these bananas. We're gonna need them when the radiation turns us all into monkeys. Oh my god. Now I don't know if the actual, because, and then it goes back into the present scene after the past version of Fry basically hides his Clover in the Ronco record vault in the Breakfast Club record cover. And then basically what happens is after that, Fry tells the Clover to stay safe because he might need him again someday. And then basically, what happens is they manage to, then it goes back into the present, timeline, in the future, where Fry's unfrozen, and then basically he tells them about the basement where his dad spent years turning it into a bomb shelter. And then Leela gets depressed by that because he mentioned that, and yet they never had one single nuclear war. And because of that, Bender says that that's a waste, and then they find the record vault, and then basically what happens is Fry tells them he still remembers the combination, which was just the number 3, so he turns it to 3 to get it to open, but it's stuck. But then Bender tells them that apparently the Achilles heel of the Ronco record vault design is its structural resonance frequency. So, and he tells them to allow him, and then basically what happens is because of that, what Bender does is he puts his hand on the Ronco record vault to get its weakness, which is its structural resonance frequency, but the thing is, it also has an after effect of causing a small earthquake, and afterwards his head falls off because of that, and then, but after it falls off, he said, there you go, and then Fry basically goes into the record where he remembers he still hid the clover, which is the Breakfast Club soundtrack, but when he goes in to look at it for it, he finds that it's not there and it's been cleaned out, and he thinks that Yancey must have stolen it, which is basically, I guess you could kind of think of it as a rush to conclusions. And again, he'll rush to conclusions again. Now, Fry technically still has the Clover, but not the version of him that's in the future. I'm going to explain about that later, but anyway, after talking with Leela and mentioning that he wonders why he didn't know why his brother hated him so much, and then after they see this statue that looks like Yancey, Fry thinks that it's him, and then he sees his 4-leaf clover and his 7-leaf clover in his lapel, and then basically after that, Leela wonders, because basically backtracking to what they were talking about before they saw the statue, Leela told him that brothers fight, deep down, he's sure Yancey actually loved him, he just never got a chance to say anything to him before he got frozen. And then after Fry tried to explain about, he'd always sort of wondered, and then basically what happens is after that, that's when they see the statue, and then when Fry sees it, he thinks that the statue is Yancey, and then he said that the 7-leaf clover is there in his lapel, and then basically Leela wonders if that's Yancey, then why does the inscription say Philip J. Fry? And then basically Fry gets upset because he thinks his brother stole his name, which is not true, because he didn't technically. Like I said, he is him, sort of. Now I'm just gonna backtrack to why the clover was never actually in Fry's record vault, was because in the past scene, Yancey was getting married and he tried to rummage through some of Fry's old records to play at the reception, and that's where he found the Breakfast Club soundtrack, which is the record which contained the 7-leaf clover that was inside of it. So that's why he had it, and the version of and the person that's on the statue that Fry thinks is Yancey isn't, but it's actually his son. Now I'm gonna explain who his son is later on when I get into that portion of the episode. I just wanted to bring it up since I mentioned about the clover. Anyway, basically after that, Fry mentions that he stole his name, and then he thinks that his brother ditched his name and stole his. And then basically, Bender said that future is Adonis. This cataract man was the first person on Mars, and then basically, Prime realizes, Philip Fry realizes, the Fry that's in the future realizes that was his dream, and then he basically thinks that because of him still thinking that the person that stole his identity is Yancey, he thinks his brothers both stole his clover, he stole his name, and he stole his dream of going into space, and then he punches the stone statue, and he's like, and now he broke my hand. And then basically Bender says that his legend lives on, and then basically, it goes back into the present scene. It goes back to where they are back in the Planet Express building, and after that the professor tells them that he inquires about it because he mentioned that so they opened the vinyl folder and the clover was gone, which is true, and then basically Fry tells them that because of he still thinks his brother stole the clover, so he thinks that him stealing the clover caused him to also steal his brother's dream of going into space, which is Fry's dream of going into space. And then basically, Hermes basically, after seeing it was he said, after she realizes that the statue said the first person on Mars, basically, Herman says that your brother was dead, Philip J. Fry. And then basically, then Fry gets upset because he still thinks that Yancey stole his clover, his name after he got frozen. And then basically, Farnsworth, the professor is telling them to be quiet because his computer heard them say the word Fry. Quiet, you imbeciles. My computer heard the word Fry, and it's produced a movie about Philip J. Fry for us. Now, this is the funny part. In addition to producing that movie found on the internet about Philip J. Fry for them, he said that it also opened my calendar to Friday and ordered me some French fries. Oh my god. And then basically what happens is they played a video that shows the version of Fry that Fry doesn't know that it's actually his nephew, but he thinks it's his brother because he stole his identity at this point. But anyway, and after the voiceover explains things, he tells them that that Fry is still buried in orbiting Memorial Cemetery with his 7-leaf clover so that it'll bring him luck in the next life. And then that's when Fry finds out where it is, because he after seeing the video, he realizes that his clover is buried with the person that he thinks is his brother who stole his identity in a grave in the orbiting cemetery. And then he asks Leela if the orbiting cemetery is going to be anywhere near there, and then Leela mentions that it's going to be there in 20 minutes. And then he's like, good, Leela? And this is the funny part, because what happens is Fry's like, Leela, Bender, we're going grave robbing. And then Bender basically gets excited about that because he's like, I'll get my kid. Oh my god. And they basically stay at the orbiting cemetery for the remainder of the episode because of what happens at the end. Is because I'm just going to explain that when I get to that. Basically, they fly in the Planet Express ship up to the orbiting cemetery, and then they enter in it, and then Leo is astounded because the people of the orphanage cemetery buried the person that they think is his brother who stole his identity in the World Heroes section, and she said that she's impressed. And then basically, Fry gets upset because he says that he should be the one in that grave. And then they're wondering where Bender is. And then basically what happens is, then Bender shows up at the cemetery because he's also sort of digging in the cemetery because he's like, then, there, now no one will ever say I don't own John Larroquette's spine. Oh my god. I'm guessing this is something that actually, him taking John Larroquette's spine actually did happen in the episode, but I'm thinking something might have actually happened prior to the series or prior to the episode, why he had to do that. But it's just, but that's just my theory about it. Anyway, when they come upon, Fry's brother's grave, Leela says that the inscription says Philip J. Fry, the original Martian. And then Fry gets upset about that, and he's like, it's because he still believes that the person in there is his brother who stole his identity. So he said that he wasn't original, he wasn't a Martian, he wasn't Philip Fry. And since when is he a the? And then basically, Bender basically said that he Fry's twice the D he ever was. And then he basically, this is actually kind of funny, but Fry makes a pun about the clover, sort of similar to the Marvel comics, like with the Thing, because you know how in the comics, Ben Grimm, aka the Thing on the Fantastic Four, has this catchphrase where he says it's clobbering time. Basically, Fry says his own rendition of it because they're going to steal the clover, except in his case he says it's clovering time. Clobbering, different. Oh my god, different saying because he's there, because they get there to get the clover instead of hitting someone. But still, I find it funny because that's a Marvel reference in that episode. Oh my god! And then they start digging in the grave, and then while Fry's digging, he manages to break off pieces of the mural that are coated in some dried grass, and then he realizes who it really is, and then it goes into a flashback where Yancey is with his wife, because in this portion of the flashback he's already married and stuff, and then basically after they have a son, Yancey's wife is saying that did he think of any names for their son, and then he was thinking of one, and then basically and then he gives his newborn child the clover that his younger brother had, and then he said that it used to belong to someone special, and then his wife tells him that she knows what name he wants to give him, it's okay, and then his brother is saying that, son, I'm naming you Philip J. Fry, in honor of my little brother, whom I miss so much. And this is the actual teary part of the episode. He says that he loves Philip and he always will. And then it goes back into the present scene, and that's when Fry reads what's on the rest of the mural, and this is when he realizes that the person buried there isn't his brother, but it's actually his nephew, because he reads it and he's like, because the mural says, here lies Philip J. Fry, named for his uncle to carry on his spirit. And then basically by that point, Bender manages to get the clover, and he's like, pay dirt, I got the clover, plus his wedding ring. And he puts the wedding ring on his finger, and he tells Leela in a joke that he's sorry, lady, then taken. And then he asks Fry if he wants him to smack the corpse around a little. And then Fry gets a little emotional, and then Leela mentions that she's like, Bender, I think Fry needs a moment alone. And then Bender's like, all right, grab a shovel. I'm only one skull away from a musketeer reunion. And then basically Fry basically puts the Clover back in the grave of his dead nephew, and then that's when the song "Don't You Forget About Me" starts playing, and then it shows, and then that's basically where this episode stops. So if you guys like this video when I post it, just please give this video the real best you guys can, and I will see you guys probably tomorrow for the next video. But until then, guys, just please give the video the real best you guys can. And like I always tell you with this series, fun on a bun.